is Rise, and we are going to have 30-second delays between all of them.
Yeah, basically TDK signed Mancloud yesterday.
Yeah.
So this is not even a sub-squad that has had much practice together. It'll definitely show if CLG is still on their game, if they haven't been too distracted by all the finger-cutting shenanigans from Doublelift, that they'd be able to show kind of an impressive victory as these bans tick through. It's going to take a little while because Team Dragon Knights need to let their timer go all the way down to 0. So CLG, I feel like one of the reasons we hear this golden age CLG all the time is whether or not they're able to get a consistent play style or one that works in playoffs. They are so damn fun to watch. Like, that is one thing. When they are on, they are so pretty in the way they execute, and they pull off these high-risk plays that consistently work in the regular season. It's just a thing I wanted to say about CLG.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, I like that. I have a thing I'm going to say about Team Dragon Knights, which is the Mancloud substitution. I know we keep seeing him off and on. He has been staying in the competitive scene. Most recently, he played in the Challenger Series qualifiers on Maelstrom Gaming. They didn't do very well. They lost to Skara's CLG Black. So, you know, what year are we in? Mancloud versus Skara was a mid-lane matchup. You know, Mancloud has been competing. He's still got competitive experience every single split. Just it hasn't been, unfortunately, as you mentioned his record before, a very successful competitive experience. The 3 bans come through. Interestingly, Alistar was not picked up. They banned 3 Seraph champions, and Team Dragon Knights prefer Nautilus over Alistar.
Yeah, they... CLG has to pick pretty much whatever they want here. Standard Kalista Gragas pick right here. They pick Gragas over Rek'Sai, which you can argue which one is better, but teams definitely have their preferences. This one is going to be Gragas.
And yeah, Doublelift gets his pretty much favorite AD carry in Kalista here. TDK to pick their own matchups. Azir mid lane, Rush picked the Corki here for Lattman. He's played that quite a lot actually so far in this split. This is his 4th Corki game in 7 games.
Definitely been his go-to.
Yeah.
One thing I liked about Team Dragon Knights in their game against TSM is they seemed to really stray from the norm with their picks. Support Malphite with mid lane Yasuo was very cool. This one looks a little bit more normal for now, assuming that's not a top lane Nautilus from Seraph, which we have seen a little bit of in the LCK.
Oh,
Duke played it once.
I did not see that game.
For Najin, but it's very uncommon.
Yeah, it happened once, so you know it existed, but...
It happened. All that counts.
It did, it did.
Yeah, now Pobleter just wants to pick... Looks like a long-range poker here to go against the Azir.
Well, CLG's comp looks pretty scary, certainly. They're leaving their top lane pick for last to make sure ZionSpartan can do well over TDK's star player of Seraph. We are on 5-11. Luden's Echo was nerfed, but they're happy to still play Kog'Maw in the mid lane for Pobleter. Meanwhile, the full TDK lineup comes through. It will be support Nautilus. Rumble top will come through for Seraph in the top lane, his 3rd showing on the champion.
Yeah. And Seraph doing his best to try and carry this TDK game to at least a single victory before their team gets its full roster. However, having to pick blind into ZionSpartan, one of the most versatile and skilled top laners in the North American LCS, is dangerous to say the least.
I keep waiting for top laners to play Riven. We see your picks
especially
into
Rumble.
Exactly, as the matchup. So far, we've seen it twice. Unfortunately, it will be Gnar. I've talked to so many top laners about Riven, and they say, oh, it doesn't work in competitive. But we've seen it work in competitive. I'm waiting for the day that champion gets picked up for a top laner. ZionSpartan, Gnar here.
You mean in North America?
In North America.
Because we've seen it in other regions.
Yes, of course. We've seen it mid lane against Echo from Rookie. We've seen it top lane from a couple of different Korean top laners, Smeb and I forget the other who played it.
Yeah.
Either way.
Either way. Very standard team composition from Counterlogic Gaming. Good power picks kind of across the board. Mid lane Kog'Maw, only the only deviation from like highly picked and played champions in the LCS, but that is because Pobelter's favorite champ here, Azir, is what it feels like, since he's played it in 3 games so far out of 6. Was taken away by Mancloud. TDK also just going with stuff they're comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's just what you kind of have to go do is, you know, pick things that you're strong at, go for the laning phase win, you know, play as though you're playing against Stick on top, get the early lead that you're hoping to get, and then hopefully close the game out from there. Coaches shake hands. We're going to have an interesting battle. CLG, you would expect them not to get upset here, but every once in a while, crazy things happen. Absolutely. Either way, we're going to be checking out on Twitter throughout the game who you think is going to win. So tweet your predictions. Tweet hashtag TDK win or hashtag CLG win to @LOL Esports. Let us know who you think is going to be taking this game home. You have to expect CLG, of course, still the heavy favorites, but you never know. In League of Legends, crazy stuff
Yeah.
always happens.
You can always have an early game thing go terribly wrong. CLG makes a lot of crazy invades sometimes. I would expect strategically, if CLG is just trying to come away with the win, they're going to avoid the flashy plays, play a conservative style, and then kind of out-rotate and out-team fight, which is what most people have done against TDK. But if CLG wants to have a little bit of fun with this one, which they've been prone to having in a lot of their past matchups, be stylish, there's some definite opportunities to try and make plays.
Well, we've seen sometimes coaches are not a fan of their teams playing stylish in games. They want to make sure they get those clean and secure wins.
Yeah, like instead of trying to dunk on someone, just lay it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't
feel like
grab the
that's-
net.
Yeah.
Maybe you walk away uninjured. Either way, CLG picking a weaker mid lane matchup with the Kog'Maw. And they pick actually a bit of a lane bully dual lane here with the Kalista Alistar. So we'll see how the battles end up going. TDK doing a heavy invade with what looks like all 5. CLG matching that with a Roma to the bot lane for a couple of deep wards. They'll time these out for about 1 minute and 5 seconds. And they can track all the entrances towards this bottom jungle. Interesting, CLG actually playing it slightly different from what I normally see. The ward from Aphromoo is in a very different spot from normal. These guys have had normally very predictable level ones, and it's a bit different for CLG.
Exactly. They normally place it in the brush near the red buff, but instead they place it, not that one, it's the one above that they place differently. That is a fairly normal buff. It sees Smoothie and Lattman, so the lane swap can easily be predicted. Or rather, CLG wants to 2v2, so now they can guarantee the 2v2 by sending their bottom lane down to match.
In the meantime, ZionSpartan was going to double jungle with Xmithie a little bit. This will allow Counterlogic Gaming to take the Gromp at level 1. Doublelift, I believe, is supposed to start Sentinel for that, and he does.
Get the auto attack proc damage on the Gromp. Interesting, ZionSpartan's going to be late to lane, so this is a somewhat bottom lane focused strategy right here. Instead of letting Zion get off to a good lead, they're sharing the experience on that as well.
Very smart by Seraph, actually. I've only seen this trick once before, but if you see your opponent is jungling at the start of the game as a top laner, you leash the entire camp down, like the entire wave, so that your wave dies to the turret before he ever shows up. And
What a
although
great
Zion was
freeze.
supposed to be jungling, yeah, Seraph now builds a freeze with a bunch of minions. He's not going to be gankable by any means, and it basically equalizes what the would-be experience advantage would be.
Yeah, kind of a tweak on how you freeze the lane right there. Seraph, by leashing the minions away, stacks what could have been 2 full waves. And luckily, ZionSpartan is level 2, otherwise he'd be really in bad shape. Now he's just in kind of bad shape.
Well, he lost 2 full waves. He is well behind Seraph. He's going to be 2.5 and change here. So ZionSpartan on the wrong side of the map in that he's up against kind of a frozen lane and down on XP. We'll see if he can get anything out of this one, but certainly it's a good setup for Seraph and Kez to make some plays on him in the future. If he ever wastes top, it's a bad spot for Zion to be in. Meanwhile, Xmithie just safely going through his own jungle. Pobleter is getting harassed in this mid lane. It's this bottom lane here where you expect CLG to have an advantage.
Yeah, and it's where they kind of need to make their advantage. I mean, they set back their top laner and their jungler slightly with that open, just so Doublelift and Aphro could get the lane scouting, the guaranteed 2v2, and the Gromp. Of course, the Krugs were matched by TDK, so it's not like CLG has a giant XP advantage. See both now hitting level 3. Not actually a fan of this level 1 by CLG. I feel like TDK came out on top.
And actually CLG, you can see they're actually wanting to freeze the lane. They had plenty of opportunities to play aggressively, push the lane out, go for aggressive moves. Right here, you're seeing them actually finally turn in because they know the enemy jungler is actually spotted on the other side of the map. The 2-on-2 goes pretty cleanly. Xmithie's still trying to battle for this blue buff. ZionSpartan's here, but a big battle comes through as Kez and Mancloud do plenty of damage. Seraph's close by as well. He lands 1 harpoon. But Pobleter will stop the chase.
What an early feed of the blue buff right there. Oh, there's the aggression.
The heal used before Ignite lands. Double gets another rend reset, I believe. A couple more attacks will do it, but healing goes down to Smoothie. Ignite already used here. A couple more attacks will do it. Gets kited out, though, and maybe Smoothie's in a bad spot here. Doublelift gets another rend through, and it's a trade just barely won by CLG.
All summoners in that lane were used during the trade, and that fight was equalized by the fact that Lattman knew the all-in was happening immediately and healed before the Ignite. Not having his healing cut in half critical in his survival right there. Smoothie just missing out on a kill on the other end, and a very competitive, aggressive bottom lane when the junglers were off the map and not able to interfere.
Yeah, battling for the blue buff there. It did, of course, go safely to TDK, but Logic Gaming building a small minion lead off the aggression in the bot lane. Looks like they just managed to choose their time to strike pretty darn well. The Aphromoo healing really helping out Doublelift as well. He did put a second point in heal. Normally you see the max pulverize really fast to have that cooldown get lowered, but seeing how low Doublelift was, Aphromoo made the choice to put the sustain back in. Will slightly hurt his team fighting later on, almost imperceptibly, but that does exist.
TDK actually expects CLG to have gone back right here. Aphromoo is going to be looking for a headbutt into the wall, followed by a pulverize onto Lattman. That would be a kill opportunity. It's dangerous, though.
If Rek'Sai happened to be here, they just die. And no opportunity presented itself. Doublelift is going to be happy to just farm on up. He's going to have about 1,300 gold at the end of this wave, so he wants to wait for BS, where it's not going to happen. Lattman recalls for pieces of a phage, but nothing important for him, just new potions for the bottom lane.
So pretty competitive early game, actually.
TDK is actually winning slightly.
Yeah, for TDK. Like I said, though, that level 1 was disadvantageous for CLG, so TDK reaping the benefits of that early on in the laning phase. Really interesting early blue give to Mancloud as well to let him shove in Pobleter early.
And it's manifested in the smallest of leads, though the early recalls have come through safely on both sides. Xmithie does realize that Pinkford's getting cleared away. Seraph, nicely done, gets out of his lane. Torque Shoe's done. A lot of roaming from him. He's level 6. A lot of wards actually put down to help try to track Xmithie. And that'll keep TDK pretty safe. So for a sub squad, I mean, they're making some very good team-focused moves.
They are. Of course, Seraph and Kez able to play together all the way since the Challenger Series. That part of the roster, along with Smoothie, is the core of TDK.
And otherwise, a revolving door of AD carries and mid laners coming through. Eventually, their intended starters will show up. But ZionSpartan is going to reach Gnar here. Does not go for the hop. Seraph kites him out just enough. The Sork Shoe is giving him a lot of movement speed, and it's going to be okay. Now to wait out the Gnar timer. The top lane basically going equal. The mid lane going basically equal as well. And the bot lane is actually equalized a little bit, to be completely fair. TDK unwilling to go on towards Aphromoo. We just have a basically equal laning phase. Now Kez can't get any farther. ZionSpartan with a nice trinket ward of the brush keeps himself safe.
Yeah, it looks like both teams are fairly contented just trying to scale out right here. Keep the lanes farming, wait for the fights to appear, and then all collapse down to it. Pobleter, of course, wants to hit Luden's Echo, whereas Mandatory Cloud goes defensive build, actually. He's going to be going for an Athenes instead of a Morellonomicon on Azir. Basically just looking to farm, though.
Well, this one's not going to be a farm, though. Aphromoo just thrown in and gets a great pulverize in ahead, but Smoothie's got nowhere to go. TP comes in a bit late from Seraph, but maybe in time after all. They look for Doublelift, the flashless AD carry. First blood to Lattman. Aphromoo goes down 2. TDK 2-0.
Interesting choice of gank paths as well by Xmithie. We've talked about how CLG has been trying to move away from being a bottom-focused team again and again, yet that's a lot of aggression bottom. It's an early game strategy focused around getting Doublelift and Aphromoo ahead, and then it's a bottom lane gank from Xmithie, which was not matched by ZionSpartan over Seraph, and ends up giving them 2 deaths, and TDK, which has happened fairly frequently in their stint in the LCS, draws first blood thanks to a Kez assist right there.
Kez assist and Seraph, the big MVP. He actually bought home guards off of the recall to get back to top lane faster to make sure he wouldn't miss too much in that lane. So his cash into those assists goes back into no combat stats whatsoever, but it definitely gives a bit of room for TDK to make plays. It's now a 4-minute timer of TP advantage, though, for CLG. We'll see if that manifests in any meaningful way.
Yeah, this is... Now CLG kind of needs to regroup a little bit. Doublelift and Aphromoo. Got to be very careful about going aggressive, especially once Smoothie hits level 6. The fact that Seraph is kind of had free reign over the map, honestly.
Yeah.
The lane freeze at level 1. He's been able to take out pink wards in COD's jungle. He's been able to teleport down to punish CLG. Could this be Seraph's greatest revenge on CLG?
It's true.
Defeating them with a squad full of subs.
Seraph finally gets to play a carry top laner, and he does a whole lot better this time around with TDK. Aggression once again, double from Aphromoo, doing plenty of damage on the Lattman, but careful, because the flash knockup's going to land, and they get another kill onto Doublelift. Lattman trying to run away from Aphromoo. Looks like he will do so safely. Meanwhile, a top lane kill did come through. Seraph was picked off by Xmithie, and Kev's forced to run away.
So a bit of a kill drop. Aphromoo's out of mana. No.
Yeah, they cut it out right. Good job.
3 kills now onto Corki, so Doublelift with the cut finger, got 13 stitches, had to play all of yesterday on different key bindings. That dual lane is not looking very good right now. Doublelift 0-2, same with Aphromoo. They probably haven't been practicing much together thanks to the injury and the time at the doctor's office, but Lattman and Smoothie, these guys aren't even supposed to be a dual lane, and they're beating up on them right now, thanks to some teleports and nice ganks.
Oof.
That was just Zion mega Gnaring into the wall right there.
Wow. Definitely a misplay then by Seraph to be against the wall with a rage bar filling up. Did Pobleter flash for that? Yeah, he flashed to cast E.
He really wanted the kill.
Wouldn't have done enough damage, but oh well.
Pobleter trying to spike his way into Luden's Echo a little bit earlier.
Otherwise just farming safely. Still about 1,000, 1,300, something like that, gold away from the item. Once again, ZionSpartan's running away because Kez ulted near him. The ward control is somewhat there. CLG, good vision to prep for these ganks. Kez will get spotted in most of his routes around the map. Unsurprising, the fan vote in CLG's favor, but TDK right now definitely winning this game.
Yeah, on the LOL Esports website, I just checked, it was at 89.5% on the pregame vote as well, so not quite the 90% curse. I thought maybe going into this, with all of TDK's roster changes, the fact that they couldn't play with Bishu, the fact that they signed Mancloud on Friday, that this would be one of the most lopsided fan votes in the history of the LCS.
Yeah.
Turned out to just be another one of those near 90% games, maybe thanks to Doublelift's injury. But as it's playing out right now, a 1,500 gold lead for TDK at 12 minutes. Yes, CLG has some nice scaling opportunities with the AP Kog'Maw and the Gnar, but it's a real dangerous game, especially now as TDK is starting to get some dragon control, and it doesn't look like CLG can disrupt this whatsoever.
So Team Dragon is going to go ahead and take down one of their brethren here easily and safely. Kez, Smoothie, and Lattman putting in a bit of effort, and that will be Dragon number 1 of the game, 12.5 minutes in, going over to TDK. And a bunch of money on the people means a recall from Lattman will give him Trinity Force. This bot lane, it's a below 13-minute Trinity Force. Like, this bot lane is so far ahead, they can do whatever they want with this dual lane, and it will probably result in success.
Yep.
CLG's winning the top lane though very hard. ZionSpartan, I mean, I talked about Seraph's revenge, but Zion's doing much better now thanks to some help from Xmithie, and it's a very different match than we were expecting.
Yeah.
TDK relying on their subs, and CLG relying very much not on Doublelift.
Yeah, well, they can't at this moment. He is ridiculously far behind the opposition on the other team. It's going to be on ZionSpartan to pull them out of this one. It's also going to be on Pobleter trying to get to Luden's Echo. We've seen a Cloud9 team down 5 dragons to 0, but because of a Luden's Echo, Kog'Maw was still able to pull out the win. Of course, Luden's Echo a little bit nerfed right now.
Yeah.
So not as good as it was early on in the LCS. And again, Zion and Xmithie trying to punish Seraph. He does have flash.
He is very far overextended though. Burns the flash, but I don't even know why he bothered. There's no way he gets out of this one unless something crazy actually happens. He's trying to run. Yeah, there's the explosive cast. He wanted to give it to Zion. It wasn't going to happen. Kill goes through, but Mancloud managed to push down the mid lane, gets the first turret kill of the game, and he's setting up pressure.
Ooh, on to Pobleter too!
Oh my god, that was quite awesome. They're going to just blow that poor Kog'Maw up. The mechanics were perfectly executed there, and TDK really coming out well.
Mancloud gives Pobleter a taste of Shurima there, and the rest of TDK is really pressuring this map well. They have the Shrine up on the mid lane. They're continuing to push. Yes, they lost a bit of side lane pressure, but they're gaining it in the bottom lane as well. It's a turret advantage, it's a kill advantage, it's a dragon advantage. It's all the advantages in TDK's favor.
And they're one wave away from another advantage with mid lane tier 2 going down, but TDK unwilling to push for that one as ZionSpartan is to push in the top lane. He requires someone to respond to that one. As you said, advantages everywhere. Kez is going to go back to his jungle and play the safer game. His style is a bit more reserved. Last we heard from him in shot calling, and make sure you grab all the objectives on your side of the map. There's a bunch of jungle to farm, a bunch of golden experience to gain, so take your time, guys, and keep going up for now. Now, we said TDK would likely, if they were to get a win, it'd be more likely to be in the early game, right? Good ganks, good early laning phases, things like that, and so far that has happened. Now we're into a more mid-game situation. 2,000 gold lead is, of course, meaningful, but it starts to maybe move into CLG's chance to make these smart plays, the way they normally win games. Good rotation.
CLG would need to rotate now properly and then try and rely on their team fighting, which looked strong in their win against Enemy at the end of last week. TDK as well has held advantages before or very close games against a lot of other teams in the LCS, and they still are at 0-6. But with that being said, it would still be a pretty ridiculous upset if TDK could take down CLG. Pink ward time.
Yeah, the fight's going to happen. Smoothie forced to flash away. Xmithie will not go for the explosive cast. ZionSpartan still chases by himself, but gets to jump over Aphromoo to stay safe. And Luden's Echo's done. There's what that chirp means. So, Pobelter's Kog'Maw has come online. Will now be the scary poke force that everyone hates, or loves, or fears. Mancloud fears.
Watches.
Watch
him poke again and again.
Imperceptibly.
Do a ton of damage. Pobelter will almost certainly be at the top of the damage charts. AP Kog'Maw does an absurd, almost graph-destroying amount of damage in these games.
Graph-destroying, that's actually one of my favorite adjectives. I like that.
Yeah, pretty much every game we see AP Kog'Maw, and he's near 50% of his team's overall damage, which is just kind of unheard of because like, across all of LCS time, when you do the averages, the highest you'll see for like a player in a role for percent of team's damage is like 33 or 34%. But in AP Kog'Maw games specifically, you frequently see them around 50% of the damage. It's how powerful it actually becomes later in the game, even though the team has to make many sacrifices early on to wait for him to turn on.
Yep. And it seems like that timer always hits around level 11 plus the third blue buff plus Luden's Echo all happens at about the same time. And it's usually, 13-ish minutes in, 14, 15 minutes in. That seems to be about the timer this keeps happening here. I think it's just a number on the map that people can start to realize that that's about the Kog'Maw time. We're, of course, past that point here, so Pobleter definitely going to be very scary. 5-2 in kills, but a lot of aggression towards Xmithie. Equalizer usually flashes right back into it, but Explosive Cask will keep the rest at bay. However, all TDK ready to push top lane.
Nice disengaged Cask right there, but we have Doublelift trying to catch up in the bottom lane, which means 5 people on TDK are able to roam around, and there's no real opposition for CLG for these turret takes.
So 4 guys in the top lane. Seraph going to hold mid, and he will not give Pobleter the room to push that down. So another turret goes through. We're 3-1 in that. 1 minute on Dragon. Seraph will not have teleport for that, though. He'll be 30 seconds late. So maybe something TDK has to play around that if they're communicating properly.
3 turrets to 1 now. And the map control should follow. As far as vision goes for TDK, they don't need to worry about substitutes for that. That's Kez and Smoothie. They've been building vision together throughout Challenger and in the last week of the LCS when Smoothie was here playing. So definitely some things looking up for TDK here. Thinking about the team fights, though. A lot of it will have to do with whether or not anyone can get their hands onto Pobelter's Kog'Maw and how effective Doublelift can actually be in this game with his poor start. It feels like ZionSpartan should be relatively effective. He's going damage Gnar, definitely trying to carry. But I think the team fights are centering around the mid laners in this one, Azir and AP Kog'Maw.
All right, well, the mid laners are going to be showing up for this fight before too terribly long, I think. Mancloud's going to push away ZionSpartan. Yeah, he's going Hex Drinker into, looks like, Black Cleaver. So really not a lot of individual tank stats for a big team fight. Something that could be scary for the Gnar player. But meanwhile, CLG doing a pretty good job pushing all the lanes in. They made TDK react to the top lane, and they got mid pushed in by Pobleter. They're getting time to scale up their hyper carry, Kog'Maw, who's sitting on short shoes now and has still a lot of room to grow. But Dragon is alive, and TDK have built enough time for Seraph to have that teleport back up. He holds the mid lane for now. The other 4 are on this Dragon, and CLG not in a position to contest. Instead, they'll be pushing the top lane. CLG identify. They're not going to fight for that objective. They're going to push for a different one instead.
Yeah, and the fact that CLG is struggling against TDK and still in the deficit, that does not bode well for CLG as a whole. This is a game that they should have been able to control from the beginning with team coordination, but they simply have not been doing that. So now it's all about whether or not they can adjust mid-game and make a comeback. Zion getting dough.
And Zion's not very tanky, but he's got a Kog'Maw now to help, and Smoothie may get caught out. He misses the anchor smash, and that means Pobleter gets the kill off the missed skill shot. CLG with a bit of room to move around.
And because of the investment from TDK down in that lane, it leaves a window for CLG to rotate and take another turret down of their own. Second turret in that lane itself. The outers are still alive in all the other lanes.
Yeah, and I thought TDK was a step ahead right there. They had most of the team sieging bot lane. They had Rumble wave through that top lane wave to stop the CLG push that we all saw coming. But instead, it's all just been well played, and now Doublelift
This is an aggressive play.
Yeah.
So Doublelift with the Bloodthirster, not the most attack speed with the recurve bow, could stack that up. The tanks they have, Xmithie and Aphromoo, can't even tank it for that long. It would have taken CLG at least 30 seconds to a minute to take down the Baron with only those three right there. Unless Doublelift had a Blade of the Ruined King or a Hurricane at that point, no way they take it down in time.
With how far behind Doublelift was, 0-2-0, only 170 CS. Yeah, not a very farmed Kalista, not going to have that set of items that it needs for the fast objective take. So just a red buff grab, and out goes CLG. And they did get a turret kill, and CLG Gaming brought the game back within 600. TDK have mostly cashed in their advantages by taking dragons here, so there's some stat buffs, but CLG have been clawing their way back in gold-wise.
It's true. The turret trades go a long way for that. Pobleter as well, Seraph's Embrace. Trying to power up as much as possible on Kog.
And it seems like TDK not doing a whole lot outside of the objective plays here. There's been occasional ganks, but mostly as counter ganks off CLG being aggressive. And as the game slows down, we're just seeing farm come back and forth around the sides. Blue buff has respawned. You can see ZionSpartan built to fight Seraph, doing a really good job of that one.
Oh.
He's nearly in range for the ulti, will not go for it though.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about power spikes, Black Cleaver completed on a ZionSpartan. He's really strong. Also, Hurricane completed, Seraph's completed. CLG does have a lot of nice itemization spikes, whereas Mancloud is still waiting to complete his NLR item, which would be a death cap, most likely. And Lattman still waiting on Blade of the Ruined King. Yet, TDK, aside from that top lane getting pushed in, still able to bully CLG for objectives.
That's impressive by TDK to keep this going on, but now we're at a tied game here in gold. Kez gonna find Xmithie. It's a pretty tanky Gragas, but Mancloud helping as much as he can. Lattman throwing some rockets to help. Mid lane tier 2 is at basically 300 health, so it would be a quick pickup if there's any misplays at all from Counter Logic Gaming. ZionSpartan, he's trying to pressure, I guess, an inhibitor turret, but that feels unlikely to succeed.
Playing the split push game as much as he can. I feel like he's mainly just trying to get Seraph's attention away from a lane. Dragon's still it up for a couple of minutes. It's mainly just a stall game. CLG is waiting for Pobleter to get stronger and stronger, and they're almost daring TDK to beat them. But if Seraph comes out to play...
And he did, but the Hexbreaker shield already popped, and that means the kill goes to ZionSpartan. Seraph unable to deal enough damage, but Mancloud now on the chase, plus the stun. Smoothie flashed for it. That will be the kill coming through to Mancloud, so 1-for-1, but it gives CLG some time to move. They've already got Doublelift pushing the bottom lane.
Yeah, Doublelift needs to get that turret. They hold the mid-turret with Corki. A nice play there by ZionSpartan. Seraph definitely overextending himself, trading the kill, but that ends up giving the turret to CLG. And guess what? A gold lead.
Well, you don't need pinkies to kill off turrets. Doublelift. It's all mouse movements, by the way. That's an easy one.
Yeah, Kalista. I wonder what other key bindings he changed, because there's a lot of attack moving or S key type things you can press on the keyboard. Those would be the critical ones that he would want to change.
I guess for right-handed people, you're hitting like shift and control and stuff with your pinky. For like to like learn skills, or like if you have like different bindings for smart cast versus not. Either way, so far, Doublelift able to get his typical farm going, 216 CS, par for the course for him, roughly. Small gold lead for CLG as they've traded objectives well and just kind of out-farmed TDK. Smoothie buying time for Lattman to knock the turret down. That will happen. Small lead goes back TDK's way, 4 turrets to 3. But they're forced to run away. Xmithie's nearby. He may look aggressive. Body slams forward.
Get that Raptor.
Yep.
It was smote by Xmithie. He gets the gold and is able to clear a ward afterwards. Small victories.
Mancloud keeping waves push with his Azir turrets though, and CLG still for the most part seem to be playing on their side of the map, and TDK have continued to be the aggressors for most of the time. A few aggressive moves by CLG, but more infrequent. Tie game in gold, and Dragon is up in 40 seconds. Who's going to get there first for control? Looks like Doublelift is going to lead the way with Aphromoo. Xmithie's around with his Sightstone as well, and CLG are first to the party. They will get Scuttler as well.
Yeah, team composition-wise as well, CLG is kind of waiting to super tank up right now. TDK has really heavy magic damage on their team. Rumble Azir as well as a Corki AD carry, and the only true physical damage champion is Kez. Lattman will do a bit, but as far as AD carries go, very magic damage heavy.
Yeah.
Notice how there's double Spectre's Cowl on Zion and Xmithie, and they're actually waiting for Aphromoo to build the Aegis. So when Aphromoo completes the Locket, and Xmithie and Zion have either completed their Spirit Visage or Banshee's Veil item, they're going to be really difficult for TDK to cut through. Add that to the fact that Pobleter is becoming Kog'Maw. There's a lot of teamfight strength just from itemization CLG is waiting for. And in this window, TDK has lost their 2,000 lead. It's turning into an advantage from CLG. This is what most teams have done to TDK when TDK gets a lead early on, is they just stall them out because TDK hasn't shown the coordination to actually win a game.
Well, coordination, the Lattman goes in by himself looking for Pobleter. The flash, the Seraph shield comes in, forcing Pobleter to flash away, but the max range equalizer will not get the kill, so a lot burned, but Aphro's caught out for this one. Who needs organization when you've got chaos and TDK? Take a kill, burn some summoners, and get control over Dragon.
You'd think that's going to be Dragon number 3. Zion, though, still pushing in the side lane. No teleport for Seraph. Someone has to fully recall. Going to get some nice chips down on that turret. And Zion still has his teleport, so he could maybe try and withstand his Dragon. Falcon, that means you're drawing yourself a Gnar.
That's a pretty aggressive play by Lattman, but it's still giving his team time. Ooh, Xmithie not having smite up. The stun lands on him. Explosive cast buys a lot of time, and Lattman going to be an easy kill picked up by Doublelift. And no follow through here. Mancloud also stunned up by ZionSpartan. How about this side of the Chaos Coin? And CLG getting a lot of damage dealt. ZionSpartan, though, forced to try to kite away from Mancloud and Seraph. CLG, though, still for the team. Oh, wow! All right, well, they're in control. 2 kills picked up by Counterlogic Gaming.
Luden's Echo mid turret still standing. They are down 3 dragons to 0, which is a definite possible win condition for TDK. But they win the fight kills-wise, take another turret, and increase their gold lead.
And now CLG maybe going to show Team Impulse how it's done. How long do they stay after a team fight win with the rest of TDK respawning here? They grab the blue buff, and out everyone goes. No chance for a comeback push for TDK. Maybe can go for blue buff steal, but it will be a little bit risky.
It's interesting. CLG actually could have gone for Baron right there.
With the low health points
you can see a ping from TDK saying that it could be being done right now. But going back to this fight, you wouldn't think this teleport would create much action, but because of the Dragon Steal, it makes people stick around. Zion as well, trying to watch him down at the bottom of the screen. Flashes over the Emperor's Divide on Mancloud and finishes him off. Well, doesn't finish him off, gets a lot of damage and a lot of distraction in the fight. Whereas the CLG team themselves were all right. And Pobleter, KS'er from 1500 range.
Yeah.
He's about to hit level 16 as well.
Oh man, that gets real scary.
It increases the range of Living Artillery once again, which is absolutely massive for AP Kog'Maw.
Definitely is, and so Pobleter still putting out a good performance, 2-1-1. Most kills on the team, doing a good job overall, participating in important things for this group of players. But it's a 2,000 gold lead for Counterlogic Gaming, all said and done, despite being down in dragons and in kills and in turrets. CLG still just winning the farm game. That's very important for these guys. Kez still forced to play a little bit of the back foot, and the problem is with Pobleter being so strong, as you mentioned, the poke advantage going to make it a bit hard for TDK to run around the map. They get to the top lane, though, off a big wave, and they're going to look for turret number 6.
It's very hard to rotate against an AP Kog'Maw, because if you get caught by one Luden's Echo shot, you almost have to back away. Giant wave comes up, but look, TDK doesn't even get a shot on the turret, can't even break the passive shield, so the chance to dive is just not even there.
Not there at all. Just a bunch of farming experience goes towards CLG, making it more than 2,000 gold lead as gold fluctuates around the map based on what minion waves are still around. But all the waves are on CLG's side of the river. TDK continuing to hold map control here. The core of Seraph, Kez, and Smoothie holding up pretty nicely.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, TDK has been in a lot of games in their 0-6 state. Makes a lot of NALCS teams question themselves if they can't happily dispatch a squad that hasn't practiced together as a 5-man unit. Of course, Mancloud just a few days ago signed with the team. That's why the team was penalized bans. Teams have no idea who's going to be playing for them days in advance. But it's still a close one, and as the game gets later and later, one big team fight, if Mancloud could pull off an amazing combo, could still just swing the tides of the game. Not to mention TDK, with the 3 dragons, has a lot of presence and pressure around that area, which they may be able to control with Azir.
And let's see what exactly they're able to control here, because TDK, look at their vision right here, a decent number of wards in CLG's jungle. Right now it's 2 in the top side. Now they've added a 3rd. They will track some of these movements. And with Corki, Azir, Rumble, there's definitely some really good long-range damage potential. Dragon number 4 spawns in a minute 45. TDK could play the long game and prep for that early. In fact, the ward does come down from Kez to that effect. The CLG have gotten time because of that to go for Baron themselves, and now they can prep the area. CLG able to clear away some of these wards, add some of their own. They've got double sight stone here. CLG with the inside track on Baron will make TDK respond to them.
Definitely. It's been a slow climb back for CLG, though. They were down 2,000 gold in the early game after the Doublelift and Aphromoo started 0-2 and 0, and they've been able to control the map here with ZionSpartan split pushing and Pobelter's poke from the Kog'Maw, and now they are actually doing Baron without complete vision control of this. So Kez, as Rek'Sai, gets very good vision inside that, not to mention the Scrying Orb. Dangerous call by CLG. Here's a fight.
Aphromoo really low on health, but gets pulled back by Kalista. ZionSpartan is Mega Gnar and finds Kez. A lot of damage dealt to this Rek'Sai, who flashed the way. Pobleter getting damage to the back line, still looking for someone to kill. Will lock down Kez. Gets another one as he takes out Seraph by himself. Mancloud could only do so much except flash away, and Xmithie is here to deal a bunch of damage. TDK Smoothie in the battle with the CLG jungle. That's not going to be enough as Pobleter knocks down more. It's a 5-for-3 and advantage of Counter Logic Gaming.
Very chaotic fight started by CLG off that, and Pobleter did work in that fight. He basically took on Rumble and Azir by himself early on in the battle. And that syncs up with the dragon spawning. The question will be no smite on Xmithie and Pobleter, but a teleport up for Seraph. How safe that dragon would be.
And it starts with CLG so low on health here, but...
Yeah, so Aphromoo gets shot back. Basically, Pobleter takes Seraph out of the fight. Seraph should have probably used his equalizer on the fight itself. He can't actually secure Pobleter in anything. And I was wrong about the Azir. It was actually a Nautilus near the fight. And yeah, this is what I thought would happen. They shut them down while going for the dragon.
And Pobleter already gets a kill back on a Seraph while dying himself, so it looks like that was a Cathian surprise. Kez, oh! What a good body slam by Xmithie, buys a lot of time. The headbutt from Aphromoo, the pulverize, but they're still forced away as Smoothie joins in, but now ZionSpartan in the mix as well. More chaos in this game.
So Kog'Maw is down, so is Seraph. A 4v4 over the 4th dragon. Pobleter was dealing most of the damage for CLG, so without him, it's really hard for CLG to do a meaningful enough amount of damage to get them off of this. I think they're just trying to stall long enough for Pobleter to get back. TDK should actually force the dragon immediately. They
needed to force Mega Gnar out, but it didn't happen, so ZionSpartan is still sitting at like, I'm now going to stun your entire team. Smoothie hit up right in the front of everyone. Aphromoo pulled back away, but gets re-engaged and goes for Smoothie. A great knockback, kills off Nautilus. Mancloud to buy some time with Emperor's Divide, but there's no damage left to deal. Mega Gnar too scary. CLG able to buy enough time and a kill.
Yeah.
Pobleter's coming.
Looked like TDK was a little bit disorganized coming into that, but TDK still just hops back onto the dragon. Kog'Maw is here. They're trying to burst and get out.
Dragon 4 now for TDK, 34 minutes in. Aphromoo doesn't have ulti. He's going a bit far by himself, but stays alive. Kez got nowhere to go. Gets picked off by Doublelift. Pobleter with the assist.
Zion's flanked. That's a lot of people trapped.
Zion's ult is down. Mega Gnar a bit far away. Mancloud summons a turret, and in comes the cow. There's the headbutt. There's the pulverize. Seraph goes down, trades the kill. Equalizer comes in, buys a bit of time, but ZionSpartan refuses to die. The 2-for-1 on the backside. Righteous Glory by Smoothie's not going to find a kill.
This game has become very messy as we move towards the 35-minute mark. Picking up that dragon, pretty critical for TDK. Although you can definitely see CLG's team fighting advantages coming in strongly. Doublelift as well has been able to farm up some nice items for himself. Once again, a threat on Kalista.
Yeah, Ruin King next for him. He's still got the No Magic Mantle. He had that actually as his third item just to get some magic resist. You talked about the MR heavy team at TDK. The double Banshee's Veil is in, the Locket's in, just an extra tag of magic resist for the AD carry as well. CLG now once again playing the waiting game, and they all are gonna find Smoothie with it. Anchor's not gonna matter at all. Mancloud getting a bit of poke, but not nearly enough. And ZionSpartan steals the blue with a long-range boomerang as well.
Baron control going to be very huge right here. CLG forcing in. Seraph was bottom lane without teleport as well. He needs to run up there fast to be able to get to this one. Doublelift stacking the spears in. Gonna try and rend smite combo to defeat Kez. Rumble's here though.
Ooh, ZionSpartan gonna go ahead and try to zone away Kez, push them into the wall. More damage done by CLG. They're going to have Kez come into this one. It's going to be a close fight, but he's not going to pop Rend until he can take it away. And that is Rend. Baron kill for CLG. A couple kills picked up as well. Seraph, they're in the middle of the lineup, getting chunked out by ZionSpartan. Pobleter's firing from afar as well. And now Mancloud on the run. Going to get locked up. Going to get taken down. A 3-for-1 in favor of CLG, plus the Baron.
Yeah, another pretty aggressive Baron call from CLG, but they saw the TDK didn't have the people in position. They killed Smoothie beforehand. They knew they could zone control pretty well with Pobleter, and they just man up to take the Baron. Doublelift goes down, but it was because he was focusing the Baron. That was his responsibility. He was successful. Gold lead and Baron now for CLG. Main thing they have to worry about is that 5th Dragon.
And I like the intelligence of CLG playing around this Baron.
So I was just waiting for the equalizer. I feel like Seraph should have used that
right there
as long as it was up, like very early on. But the equalizer doesn't come in until now, later on into the fight, and then after Mancloud's ultimate comes in. So just not fully in sync, which you can't blame him. Mancloud joined the team yesterday. And it just kind of goes to show the difficulties of a sub-squad trying to win in the LCS.
Yep, and as a result of all this, we sit at a 7,000 gold lead for CLG Gaming. 4 dragons or not, CLG are clearly ahead, and they are sieging mid lane tier 2. They'll get that cleanly. Xmithie buying time and zoning out any flanks to the top side. Smart by him to be there. Doublelift still limping through from the base, as he was the only one to die last fight. CLG will be able to keep pushing on. 5 turrets picked up. Bot lane tier 2, the last one still available. Aphromoo goes for the flash, pulverize, headbutts in, Mancloud just gets exploded for that one. In comes Aphromoo, a stun in from Smoothie, but will it even matter? They're trying to get some damage to Pobleter. Lattman flashing away, Xmithie in his face, and 2 more kills picked up for ZionSpartan. The attack damage focus build working pretty cleanly here. Xmithie gonna go ahead and get the kill onto Lattman thanks to Doublelift, and CLG get a 4-for-0 with the turret dive.
CLG not going to let 5 dragons be an issue in this game, trying to end the game before it even spawns. The 4-for-0 fight, soon to be 5. Looks like CLG picks up a win.
Seraph will not get anything on the scoreboard for himself, so CLG Gaming at 38 minutes. Plenty of fantasy points on them, 9-2 and 9 on Pobleter, and this will be the Nexus going down surely and cleanly. CLG 6-1 after knocking down TDK.
Yeah, not as clean as you would hope against now an 0-7 Team Dragon Knights, but CLG did recover from some early game hiccups. Doublelift and Aphromoo combined started the game 0-4-0, but finished in a much better fashion. Xmithie, also an underrated performance this game, 5-0-9 on Gragas. They become the 7th team to take down Team Dragon Knights.
All right, well, 2 opponents left for TDK in the first half of the split, teammate in Cloud9, so maybe an easier schedule could help TDK find that first win towards the end here, but CLG Gaming able to recover properly from an early game deficit. You can see, just like Dignitas, their shot calling, their mid game, their late game, clearly an asset for these guys. I mean, keep in mind that subs or not, these are still some of the best players in North America. They wouldn't be in the LCS if they weren't, you know, among the top 10 or top 20 in the continent. And unsurprisingly, sometimes players like this can have early game leads. Good ganks by Kez, good dual laning by Lattman and Smoothie, good stuff overall. Seraph helped put a bunch of wards down. Like, these are obviously good players. Even Mancloud won his lane. He was up in CS at 10 minutes, up in CS at 20, I guess, as well. But obviously CLG, the more coordinated team. Once it came to team play, worked a lot better.
Not that coordinated when wrapping up their mouses, however. Mice.
Probably mice.
Doublelift, tiny little knot. Hard to deal with the pinky finger out of service. Yeah, not the best showing by CLG, that's for sure. But ultimately, all that will matter is the fact that they get a victory here, so that does move them to 6-1. It maintains at least a guaranteed tie at the end of the day for first place in the North American LCS. So CLG's goal this split is to finish in the top 2 in the regular season to make sure they get a bye in the playoffs, hopefully making their road to Worlds a little bit easier. Of course, they need to be able to win a playoff series as well, so a long road for CLG.
Yeah.
Still ahead.
Yeah, but
ultimately, though, Pobleter played a very good game.
Yeah, and honestly, CLG only losing a single game. They lost to TSM and came right back and fired off well against Gravity, against Enemy, against TDK. CLG looking good to earn a lot of championship points in a good playoff run and maybe make themselves over to Worlds. But to break down that game, let's send it over to our guys in the